Welcome back to the workshop. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the clamps and holds that I use here in the workshop. Different things like these and some of the other types that I have as well. First of all, let's talk about some of our basic woodworking clamps. Now, you may have seen one of these, one of those. It's called a 6-inch wood clamp. I think it's called a screw type clamp. Usually they come in a variety of sizes. This one came from Big Lots. It's actually my first clamp I ever had. Before I was doing woodworking, got it for some private conservation work I was doing at the time. But usually what you're doing is you're moving the screws to enhance clamping at the mouth. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I don't use it very often. When I was a conservator, in a lab, I had a whole bunch of these things, and I would use them. I mean, they were huge. Some of them were really big for binding large furniture pieces together, that kind of thing. But for here in the workshop, I don't use this much at all. It usually just remains on the rack. A more common type is the F clamp. This is a metal version of it. You may have, and this is basically where you clamp it up and then you adjust a screw to give more tension. When you're using something like this in woodworking, or really any clamp for that matter, you really want to have some blocker pieces, some pieces of wood, examples like this, because if you use this straight onto your workpiece, it will make a circle. It will make an indentation. It will damage the surface of your piece. So you really want to have pieces of wood of different sizes or whatever. Just doesn't have to be this thick. Has to be something to protect your piece from the clamp. A better example of that, and one that many are more familiar with, are the quick clamps. This is an Irwin quick grip, but there's other kinds as well. And so a lot of times the idea is for the quick grip to start your clamp. So if you've got something you're gluing up, you use this to kind of start the process, but then you put the F clamp on to really get it for the long-term clamp. I use these for the long-term clamp, but that's not the original idea. These come in a variety of sizes, from tiny all the way up to huge. This is not even the largest size, but it's the largest one I have. This is a heavy-duty quick clamp. I have this size and a somewhat smaller version of the same type. And of course, F clamps come in different sizes too. This size, and there's a much larger size. And most people have multiples of these, but I only have the one, because in my shop I'm not building huge things. And for things that I am building that are large, I have other clamps to use. Here's another version of the quick clamp. This is for spanning a larger distance, but it's the same idea. Squeeze this to where you want it, release it with that. Over time, these will wear down. These will wear down faster than any of these other screw type things, so that's something to keep in mind. They're also usually, the plastic ones are cheaper. This is a C clamp. C. Comes in different sizes. This is an excellent thing for getting a really good tension on your piece. These also come in several different sizes. I've got some small ones of those, and some mediums, and some largers. It's a good thing to have, but because of the depth of the throat, it limits you on what you're using it on. It's usually for smaller projects. Again, you can get these larger ones. These can get quite large. This is my largest, but these get to even, this is a 6-inch. I think they get even like 12, and they can get much larger than this, especially for mechanical use. For machinery and that type of thing, they can get really large. But for my basic woodworking shop, this is all I need. Pipe clamps are sort of a special designation for clamps. When you buy these things, normally you're buying just this part and this part from a woodworking store or a hardware store, that sort of thing, and then you provide your own pipes, which you can buy from any big box hardware store. So different sizes. The thing about the pipe clamps, it gives an extraordinary amount of strength, but also length and you can choose any length you want. This is my smallest, and this is my longer. Now, I don't use these very often, but when I do create my puzzle cabinets, I usually have to use these. And as you know, I have one coming up this year. If I can ever finish designing it, Puzzle Cabinet 4 will probably require these. The drawback to these, of course, is you're only allowing this amount of area to clamp on. You can, of course, extend it with, a larger piece of wood or something, but it does give quite a bit of extension. Plus the fact that it's raised up, it allows you to raise the piece off the ground a little bit so you're not directly on the surface of, there you go, on the surface. So again, you can get any size you want because it depends on the type of pipe you get. And I believe this is this is so long ago, I have not bought, so I don't know if this is a 1-inch pipe or a 3/4 inch pipe. This is a 3/4 by 48. So it requires a 3/4 inch pipe. And this is probably a 36, but 36 and a 48. Now, if you've seen videos on my workbench, which I did not design, this is designed by a different individual, Chad Stanton, I believe. My face vise is also a pipe clamp. So it's got the one section of it. The other section is inside here, and there's a post here to keep it from spinning around. So as you have it in here, and let's see, you get your piece, and then you tighten it up. And it's pretty good tightening. It's excellent for planing or anything like that. And then just release that. I love it. It works all the time for me. This is my face vise, and I have the same configuration on this side. Same thing. There's a board here to put pieces in to keep it in a certain place, but otherwise you expand from here to your dog holes up here. Works very well. And so he's got his plans online. I think you have to pay for them now. When I built this, they were free, but that was a long time ago. So he built this as a portable bench to take to job sites. I built it as my primary bench, although now that I'm in this permanent workshop, I have considered making a permanent workbench. I have the plans for it. It just would take a lot of time and effort, and I'm not sure I have that right now. This is a variation of an F-clamp, sold by Festool, but other places make it as well. This is meant for use with the sliding grooves with their some of their special tools. I use it in my workbench as a hold down. So I've actually drilled this hole specifically for use because it spans that space, and then I could do this. And it's very versatile and useful in my workshop. A normal one of those standard hold downs would not work in my bench because they're usually too long, and this bench just wouldn't accommodate them. So this has worked very well for that purpose. These types of clamps, which their name escapes me at the moment, you'll see it there. It's basically a spring clamp. They come in a variety of sizes, really tiny ones in fact. This tiniest one I use primarily for very small projects and also for attaching a microphone to my camera stand when I'm doing videos for my Richo Hobby Art channel. But these larger ones do have their use. They are very practical for woodworking use. This is just a cheap set I got from Big Lots long ago. But they do have their use. It's just a basically spring clamp. Allows you to clamp things together, usually thinner things, but they work very well. Just be careful what you're using on, you don't split it or something like that. Another option I have are these portable vises. Bought this one years ago, and it's very simple. Now this is like a small metal vise. It's a very small thing. Stick it on here and just clamp it right onto your workspace. And then you can stick something in there. You need to saw it, or not really for woodworking. However, Not necessarily for woodworking, more for metalwork, but you could use it for woodworking if you made things like this, little pieces. This one is made to fit in this one specifically. This way you are protecting your wood items from the teeth of this metal vise. And so that is an option that you can do. And I made these years ago for just that kind of use. Another option is this one. This one I got from a friend of mine. He just gave it to me one time. This is it's a vise. It's got rubber teeth. The more important thing is it is able to move around. So you can put whatever you want in there, but you can also rotate it. It's got one of those ball things, so you can put it in any configuration that you need to. If you need to have it something in there and you need to get at it in a certain direction, it's good for that. I don't use this as much as I'd like to say I do, but I don't have need for that kind of work as much. Not really for woodworking work, but you can get one of these, a machinist style vise. It swivels around, so you can get into it wherever configuration you want. It does have this nice anvil in the back for metal work. I've used that a few times. And I featured it recently in another video on some tools I got. This is one that I got from my dad, and I had been kind of waiting to get it from him. He's still around, but he's not using it as much, so I brought it here to my workshop. And of course, you can get these in much larger sizes. You can get these from a lot of different places, any big box store. Other places sell it as well. More non-traditional items include string. Of course, you can always use string to tie around something, knot it. You can use a windlass. I don't use that, but I'm familiar with the concept, and which is sort of taking string or something like that and a center part that is wound to a certain point tied off, and that allows for strength and compression. Bungee cords, I have used bungee cords a few times to wrap around something or tie on one end or the other to allow for, there's some elasticity, but it's also can be used for clamping. And then a ratchet strap, just a basic ratchet strap. I have used these several times. This is just, again, a set I bought from Big Lots, but I have used this for creating a table, as well as I believe the Apothecary Sequential Discovery puzzle was also glued up using the pipe clamps as well as ratchet straps. So they're very helpful in doing this kind of work. And in some cases, I have used heavy objects. It's just a Wood River number 5, but it's got some weight to it. Sometimes when I have built things that have like a piece of plywood attaching on top on 4 sides, maybe 4 areas, the best way I've been able to just put the weight on. Put something like this on that spans the area and allowing that to compress it and give it the amount of weight I needed for the glue up. So a lot of times you don't need a lot of fancy clamps. Something just like a heavy object, a weight, a lead weight, or something like that can be used very efficiently. Though not an actual vise, it is a simple bench hook, something that you can make on your own, plywood, spare wood, whatever. Stick that in. Now I use it with my vise, but you can use it without a vise. Take a piece of wood. You're using your strength to hold it in place. You're not holding, you're pushing against it. And then you get your saw, and it's perfect for cutting or sawing or whatever it is you're doing. And if you get this kind that has a cutoff like this, then it gives you a 90-degree angle to do a saw cut. There you go. And so a bench hook, and I didn't have it in my vise, I was just holding it myself. But I often, when I'm doing it, I'll hold it in the vise so I can spend more time holding the piece and focusing on what I'm doing. A couple other options include a sticking board. This is a short one. We've got 3 screws at the top. Sometimes it's nails. You can fit this onto your bench. You have to clamp it in. Then you can use a little board like this. Push it into that. It's like using a bench hook or something like that. Push that into it to do whatever you're doing. Again, this is a small version of that. Or the narrow hold. I showed this a couple months ago. Put a piece of wood in here. That clamps in, and it's good for if you need to plane a small piece or do something like that. This is not my design. I saw it in a magazine one time, and it works for me. So these are all just a sampling of some of the clamps and holes that you can use in your workshop for your projects. There's more out there that I don't cover here, but these are the ones that I use. I find them very helpful for my projects. Thanks for watching.